record number of foreign workers. So as the number of Japanese workers continues to decline and decline and decline, the number of workers in Japan, not residents, this is people working and paying taxes, which would include me, is now 1.46 million people, which is a 14% increase from the previous year, which, I mean, compared to the birth rate, which is declining 0 point something percent every year. This is pretty important. The number of foreign workers in Japan, indeed, 2008, so that's the halfway point of my time in Japan. I got here in early 1999. You can see there were 500,000, and now there are nearly 3 times that at 1.5 million. So you can see there's probably, and this is great, breakdown by the nationality, and this is also really shifting. It's funny that Korea isn't included here. I guess Korea are broken out because they are the Koreans that are born in Japan have a special permanent residency status, and they're tracked separately to normal immigrants. Although of course there are also Korean immigrants, but obviously they make up a smaller group. There we go, beside Indonesia they're on the side. So actually, Koreans are there. I think Chinese have just overtaken the number of Korean residents, but they wouldn't be treated as foreign workers. People on work visas, they're here on special permanent residency visas. So on work visas, PRC first, obviously. Then you've got Vietnam, which is incredible because 10 years ago there were no Vietnamese in Japan, and they've just exploded in the number of people. Philippines, there have always been a lot, but again they're the next largest group. Brazil, Nepal, South Korea, Indonesia, and Peru, and then you finally get to all 7 of the G7 countries: Canada, Britain, Italy, France, UK, America, plus Alpha, which I guess includes Russia. I don't know why you would include Russia, but there you go. And Australia and New Zealand being included in G7, so I guess I'm in that G7 wedge over there just before other. But just for another idea, whenever we say gaijins and we think of foreigners, here working in Japan, we are very much an insignificant, afterthought on what's really there. I mean, it's almost 50% Chinese and Vietnamese, but there we go. And by industry, again, realizing that manufacturing, service industry, wholesale, accommodation, food, drink. So yeah, for me it's really cool just to see that we talked about, Ainu are here, foreigners are here. Japan is not in parts of Tokyo, dare I say it, are actually cosmopolitan. Mr. Kordychev makes an excellent point, actually, that Dick, it's a simple word. The thing about New Zealand is that we only have 2 vowels. Basically, they're both variations of the fish jumped over the fence. It's basically just 1 or 2 vowels. We have E and pretty much. But yes. So anyway, coming back into it, but that's pretty cool actually, seeing the number of foreigners coming in, which reminds me, the spending by foreigners coming in as tourists, not as workers. Australians are the number 1 spenders. So of course Chinese were making a big deal that they were coming in and they'd collect up money from the whole village and buy rice cookers for everybody and carry them all back at the airports. And that seems to have settled down now to partly because of the Chinese government cracking down on the practice, and it was pretty disruptive when it came to Japan. And now going to regular tourism, just spending on skiing, hotels, rail passes, and so on. It turns out that the highest average spend is by, so this is total spending, I think, but I think if it's per capita spending, there we go, spending per person. On average, Australians spend over $2,000. Spanish people, close second, Italy. China is still doing pretty well actually, and when you consider the different costs of living in China, they're obviously spending more of their income when they come to Japan. But there we go, Britain, United States was down the list. Koreans are way down the list. Taiwanese, it's kind of funny, I would have expected the Taiwanese generally are more affluent than mainland Chinese and that they would spend more, but I guess, maybe Chinese spend up for the occasion. Hong Kong. So that's kind of interesting, isn't it, those rates showing how much people are spending when they come to Japan. And that Australians are there at the top, on the top bracket, which I guess implies that they're doing a lot of things. Like I get a lot of Australians go to Niseko, they travel around a lot, they spend a lot on accommodation. In fact, is there data on that? No, there isn't. But yeah, wow. And the government targets here are crazy, but they have achieved them. So there you go.